Junction 2, business/personal.
The future used to be so clear when I was reliving the past. Once I caught up to the moment I had left, that ended. All I've had to go on since then are the plan and the visions. I knew Jack would come to me. I'd seen that, but I didn't know why exactly, or how it would end.
There he is. You were right.
My visions of the future aren't always clear, but they don't lie.
Speaking of lies, Joyce is saying he's discovered his brother's time machine.
We've spent 17 years looking for it, and he finds it in less than a day?
Does sound unlikely.
Still, we know it's out there somewhere, and we don't know what his brother managed to tell him.
If he really has located the machine, why would he come here and tell you? Smart Money says he's trying to play you.
Maybe, but the machine is out there. It's in our interest to find out where.
These guys are a massive military organization and they couldn't find this giant machine in 17 years. I don't know about all that, man. Guys, the load times in this game are freaking massive. I'm actually going to be cutting out a lot of them.
If Jack knows, I have to talk to him.
Dr. Joyce could have provided the answer to that question.
William's attitude and knowledge made him a liability.
Is that angry young man going to cooperate any more than his brother did? You remember Jack as a close friend, but that clouds your judgment. Don't make this personal.
It's not.
But don't forget why we're here tonight. After what happened, our people need reassurance that we're in control. You're the man who could win them over. Let me handle Joyce, so you can concentrate on your speech.
I know what's at stake here, Martin.
I wonder what exactly their relationship is. Like, I seem to be, like, the top dog in this organization, but that guy kind of acts like he has equal authority to me. I don't know. Let's see what this is.
Dr. Sophia Amaral had taken over our Chronon research department after Dr. Kim's accident. She was the only one who could treat the Chronon syndrome.
Okay, this says, what happened to Dr. Henry Kim? I was kind of curious about that. This is from Dr. Amaral to Erica Cross? Erica, first of all... God damn it. Great. First of all, my condolences and apologies. I didn't realize you had a history with Henry, and frankly, I would not have promoted you into this position had I known. If you would be more comfortable working on something else, I can make that happen, no questions asked. To be clear, I'm not talking about a demotion. I mean a comparable senior position in another department. You're correct in that it's a very sensitive topic, but given your current security clearance, I can tell you what I know. Unfortunately, I don't know much. For the past 6 months, I myself have been trying to work out what happened, but I haven't made much progress. I know Henry was working late in his lab, and there was some kind of a Chronon particle surge. Of course, we know that exposure to large quantities of Chronon particles can result in physical changes. Paul Serene is an example of that. His first exposure resulted in his extraordinary abilities, and the second exposure caused his progressive condition. In Henry's case, that exposure transformed him into a Chronon-disrupted wave function subject, or a shifter. It is, of course, clear that Mr. Serene's and Henry's conditions are essentially the same thing, even if Mr. Serene's case hasn't progressed as far. However, it's not at all clear how Henry could have been exposed to such a powerful dose of Chronon particles, particularly as the lab itself underwent none of the temporal changes we have come to associate with such an exceptional event. None of the containers on scene had remotely enough Chronon particle capacity for such a high dose, and furthermore, all of them were intact and accounted for. In short, we don't know where these particles could possibly have come from. I'm not surprised that Martin Hatch was unwilling to discuss this. He was the only other person present in the lab when the accident took place, but I don't know why he was there or what happened, and he claims to have no memory of the events. Despite this, Martin somehow managed to contain Henry in the artificial zero-state field set up in the lab. I am unwilling to speculate as to how this could possibly have happened. Suffice to say that I have many questions about these events myself. Think about my offer, Erica. You're a first-rate scientist, and I would hate to lose you, but I would absolutely understand if you wanted to change departments. Please give my best to your wife. It was lovely to meet her the other week. Sophia. To Sophia from Erica. What happened to Dr. Kim? Sophia, I realize this may not be a welcome question, but I feel like I need to ask. I knew Henry Kim very well. I went to school with him, and he was actually my husband's best man for my first marriage. Unfortunately, when I moved down to Florida, we didn't manage to stay in touch. Let's just say that life took me into unexpected directions. It was a very welcome surprise to hear from him when he was recruiting new people, and I'm glad to say we hit it off again. We spoke on the phone a lot. He came over to meet my wife, and well, it was like old times. It could have been awkward, but it wasn't. Henry was like that. You can imagine my shock and disappointment when I heard about his death. Oh, he actually died. Just a week before my own employment at Monarch began. We didn't get to work together the way I'd hoped. Now, Monarch has been very good to me, but his death has been eating at me. I know it's something people don't want to discuss, and I understand that there are confidentiality issues. However, having recently been cleared for some of the more sensitive Cronin research, I now know that the story of his death is a fabrication, and Henry has become something entirely different. I'm not blaming anybody, but for my own peace of mind or sense of closure, I suppose I'm wondering if, given my new security clearance, you are in a position to explain how this came to pass. I should add that I brought this up with Martin Hatch the other day, and he made it clear in no uncertain terms that I should drop the matter. Given that, I'm taking something of a chance talking to you about this, but I feel like I can't let this go. I'll understand if you aren't allowed to discuss it, but I'm more than a little scared and upset. I hope I can rely on your discretion either way. Erica. So, that guy had the same kind of exposure that I did, but he got it worse somehow. I got superpowers, and he died. So does that mean that I'm marching towards death right now? Like, and they don't understand how it happened either, because he shouldn't have gotten that kind of dose.
The mansion was an extravagance, but it was useful for events like the gala, and it deflected attention from our nearby R&D facility.
Cool, cool. While I'm here, I want to see if this thing works the same as when I'm playing as Jack Joyce. Okay, so you do have a timeline, but there's really nothing in here to look at because it's very short. And I can actually still go in and look at Jack's upgrades, but I don't have upgrades for Littlefinger here. I know his name is Paul. I'm going to keep calling him Littlefinger because that's how I associate this actor. Alright. I think it's time to go. Give me that look. Did you guys see the way he just looked at me? Like I'm an asshole? Fuck you. A car and a speaker setup.
What are these doing here? We should be set up by now.
It's all on schedule. You're micromanaging again.
That's my job as boss. Maybe you don't understand how the boss works. I'm trying to get the camera inside this guy's face. Just for a second, I could actually see inside his face. I want to see inside the character model. Because I think that's fascinating. But now I can't get it to work. Oh well. Hey guys, the good news is I got 100% on this chapter. Go me. Found all the narrative objects.
And here you are.
I had to see the lifestyles of the sick and traitorous up close and personal. And it was such a nice invitation.
How do you want to deal with this, Paul?
Well, first I want to go look at his car because it's lit up for some reason. Choose whether you focus on your personal business or the decision. Or the mission. Wow, I can't read today.
Paul.
Just thinking about a road trip I took a long time ago. In a car far less comfortable than this.
Let's focus on the issue at hand.
Why don't you quit telling me what to do? I've got had up to here with your shit, Mr. Hatch. I'm the boss. Do what I want.
What should we do about Joyce?
Alright, let's go over these options, guys. This could be very important. How do we do this again?
I could still try to reach Jack and make him see reason. Or I could let Hatch deal with him so nothing would distract me from leading Monarch.
Alright, let's check out the personal option first.
Up into the past. I tried to change things.
Answer me this question, Paul.
I once trusted Jack more than anybody. It was my only chance to make him understand the truth.
The fuck do you mean nobody got a look at the shooter?
But without me there to give the speech, my empire would start to crumble like a house of cards.
Serene chooses to focus on his relationship with Jack and let Monarch fend for itself for a while. Not sure I fully understand what they're going for there. Not sure I understand what the repercussions would be. Alright, business option.
I believe that with hope comes miscalculation. And as you and I are well aware, Mr. Joyce, with miscalculation can often come catastrophe. And that leaves me with you, Mr. Joyce.
But my old friend would be a lost cause. Dead and buried, along with the rest of my past.
Tonight is a celebration in face of darkness. Tonight we celebrate because I promise to you that we are prepared.
Monarch would grow stronger with my presence. The plan would go forward as intended.
And Serene chooses to focus on leading Monarch rather than wasting time on Jack. This is kind of an odd choice. I gotta admit, I wasn't expecting something like this. I guess as far as Jack is concerned, this is basically the choice between trying to convince him that what you're doing is a good thing, or just straight up offing him. Letting Mr. Martin Hatch here just do his thing. I think that personal would be the more interesting choice from like a story perspective, but business might be a more interesting choice from a gameplay perspective, because I might have to like fend these guys off when we're back in control with Jack, and that might lead to some interesting encounters. So I'm not sure. I'm kind of torn here. This is different from the first choice. I think I'm gonna. I don't really know how I want to play this. Like from like a roleplay perspective. I mean, there's so many different perspectives you could try to play from. You know, there's Jack Joyce, there's Littlefinger, there's an overall story perspective. Just trying to figure out like what makes the best story, or the most logical story. I don't know. You could go a lot of different ways. And I guess ultimately I'm going to go with the personal one here, because I think that just seems to make the most sense story-wise. I don't really have a good basis for that. I'm just spitballing it here, guys. So here we go.
Martin, I'm afraid you're gonna have to cover for me at the speech tonight.
All right.
Jack and I have a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah.
I've seen where this leads. I've been to the end of time, and I've escaped it, all the way to 1999, when it all started. I've tried to change things, but by trying, I only made them happen in the first place.
Alright. Looks like my one buddy who's playing this game also chose the choice that I made. And then about 54% of the community made the same choice. So that's a pretty even split. Sounds like people were pretty divided on what the way to go here was. Yeah, I just think that like having these two together and kind of bouncing off of each other might lead to some really interesting story things. And I'm kind of hoping that we'll learn more about Paul Serene and what exactly his goal is here. If we have, you know, Jack with him, and maybe we can glean some more information out of him. So hopefully that was a good call. I don't know.